What's up, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tsla, NIO, and the overall markets. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. Also, if you guys can, please smash the like button. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. Anyways, as far as the market's going, as you guys can see, NIO is on a bit of a downtrend. And we ended up losing this support right here at this 4.3 area. So I mentioned yesterday that if we had broken past 4.4 and we got a bounce, we'd be looking for an attempt to fill the gap above. And if we got a rejection, if we ended up losing 4.3, we're looking for a bearish move. Unfortunately, we got a bearish move after the whole market came down. If you look at Tesla, it's a little bit in the red, but it was trading red, like even more red for the majority of the day. SPY was down 1.5%. Nvda was down 3%. The majority of stocks were in the red. Why is this? Because we had some news that led to some downside and because of new fears emerging in the markets. So I'll talk more about the charts in just a couple of minutes. I first want to talk about this. So as far as NIO goes, it became the official mobility partner of the Berlin Fashion Week of 2025. So good news for them, getting a lot more exposure. However, what we're waiting for is to see their overall sales improve while they simultaneously improve those margins. So that's what we're still waiting for. That matters a lot more. I think NIO will get closer to that as the year progresses. So I'm still very excited for that. But for the shorter term, just know that there's still some pain in the markets, and unfortunately, we're losing some key support that could lead to more downside for stocks like NIO. Now, the whole market was red. If you look at things, even Tesla was flat, but somewhat in the red. We look at many others out there, not just consumer durables were in that interesting phase, but then we saw others out there just continuing to the same thing. We saw big tech in the red. If you look at Apple, Nvda, Google, Microsoft, the list goes on. The majority of stocks were in the red, and we continue to see that as time had progressed. Why did the market dip? Well, we got our jobs numbers that came out. If you look at them, unemployment was at 4.1%. That was below expectations. The non-farm payrolls was at 256,000. That was above expectations, which is not too bad. So decent numbers. But I just wanted to say that despite that happening, that was not enough to get the market to bounce. The market actually saw a bigger drop because there were some fears about how this could make the Fed's policies more complicated. The Fed could once again, there's some fears that they may reverse course on lowering interest rates, and that is making people a lot more apprehensive. So just keep that in mind, guys. That's what things are looking. For other factors out there, for the week, just note that for Wednesday, we have JP Morgan, Chase, Citi, and Wells Fargo announcing earnings. And the rest of the earnings are going to be more minor, besides Thursday when we have Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, and Morgan Stanley. So the big bank earnings starts. That's going to cause more volatility. We'll see if that causes the market to bounce or not. And whether or not we get a bounce depends on that. However, as far as NIO goes, we're losing structures. This is looking a bit more bearish. And I just want to say that we need to see this try to hold our key levels, or otherwise we're going to be in a more bearish phase. When you look at the daily time frame on NIO, you guys can see this is showing some weakness. As we have some gaps to fill, we're losing support, and this could be trying to come down to fill this gap around this 3.94 area. Because we close below 4.2, it's a bad sign. This may continue to decline. So I just want to give you guys a warning about that. The daily does look weaker, and we're continuing to make lower highs over and over again. So unfortunately, we're not ready for a big bounce, and this could be coming down to fill this gap down here. So just keep that in mind, guys. I'll be paying close attention to how that progresses. Bitcoin, on the other hand, is trying to hold above 94,000. Could be looking for an attempt to get to 95,000, but we're still making lower highs here. I could be seeing a test of 95,000, if not 96,400, but then we'll see if we reject off that resistance as the downtrend perpetuates. Nvidia is looking weaker on the daily. We need to try to get back above 140. Otherwise, we favor a move back down to 133. So just be careful, guys. For SPY, we're looking weaker. There's a giant head and shoulders here, left shoulder, head and a right shoulder. We got to hold 580 next week. There might be an attempt to bounce temporarily, but then if we end up rejecting and making a move down, that could cause a much bigger decline. Don't forget, next week we also happen to have PPI data on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, we have CPI data. And that's pretty much it. There's nothing else too crazy for next week. But the big thing is going to be CPI. That's going to cause a big move. If CPI is hot, we might be looking for SPY to continue this decline, and the head and shoulders could drag us even lower. So just keep that in mind. For ES, there's a left shoulder here, a head and a right shoulder. We need to try to get back above 5,900 at the very least. Otherwise, we could continue to decline to about 58.25. There is still weakness perpetuating. Tesla is technically on a downtrend, but we held support quite decently. When you look at the 4-hour time frame, we actually have this structure right here. We're seeing buyers who are trying to hold us at this support. So see this blue trend line of support. Tesla's still riding this, so it is trying to outperform the markets. Heading to next week, we'll see if we continue to ride this higher for 400 again. It might make an attempt to rebound, so it's still showing some strength. NQ is looking weaker. We got to get back over 21,000. Otherwise, we could be continuing to fall to 20,800 or below. The QQQ is also looking weaker. We're making lower highs. We got to get back above 507. Otherwise, we could be dumping closer to 502 and then 500 flat. For Aapl, we're on a bit of a downtrend. We have to see if we can try to get back above 240. Otherwise, we could be dipping to about 234. Just keep those levels in mind. For the Russell, we're technically on a downtrend. We're making lower highs right here. This could be favoring a move back down to about that 214 area. So just keep that in mind. For coin, we're on a bit of a downtrend. We have to see if we can reclaim 264. Otherwise, we may be dipping all the way down to about 250. So just keep that in mind as well. For Amazon, we're on a bit of a downtrend as well. We're looking a little bit weaker right here. We got to hold above 220. Otherwise, we favor a move back down to about 215 or below. So keep that in mind. Meta is going to be looking for 612 and 608 as our supports. With those fails, we could be dipping lower. We're stuck in this range so far, especially as we have a double top. So this could be looking a little bit weaker for essentially 607. For Microsoft, we're on a bit of a downtrend right over here. But we're going to be watching to see what happens when we hit this 415 area. If 415 fails us, we're looking for a dump to about 412. And then Google is also forming a double top right here. We have to see if we can reclaim 194. Otherwise, we could continue to fall to about 190. So watch that very closely. With this double top forming, 190 could be coming. And if that fails us, we'll be looking for an even bigger decline. So I'll be watching this very, very closely. I think that it's going to be very, very important for how we end up developing, but there is that risk of downside on Google if we can't hold above 193.74. So that being said, the market's looking bearish. We're looking pretty weak approaching this data. But don't forget, we have big catalysts coming out from big bank earnings on Wednesday and Thursday. And then we also happen to have very important inflationary numbers on Tuesday and Wednesday. So we'll see if this leads to more upside for the markets or downside. For now, the charts do look a little bit more bearish. So please keep that in mind, guys. There's weakness in the markets. There are some exceptions, such as Tesla trying to ride its supports, but just know we're going to be watching these key levels. As far as NIO goes, there's weakness in the chart as we're making lower highs, and we have this big gap to fill down here around the 3.94 area, which could once again lead to more downside. Unfortunately, we're not doing the best of jobs at holding up, and I still think this chart favors downside a bit more to get closer to about the low fours. With that being said, I thank you all so much for listening. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll be back with another update starting on possibly on Sunday. I might not post a video for tomorrow. So I hope you guys have a good weekend. We might be dipping to the low fours, and eventually the gap fill at 3.94 could be coming for NIO. So please keep that in mind, guys. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the weekend. I'll see you guys very soon in the next one. Thank you for listening, and peace out.